Joined this afternoon from Dave from Dimplex and Martin from Uponor. Dave, just tell us a little bit about here this retrofitting heat pump. What have we got here?
Okay, what we have here, this is a inverter-driven air source heat pump. So it's actually running at the moment. The people that can feel it's nice cool air coming through. It's taking the energy from the air from behind, passing it across an evaporator where it's cooling the air down and throwing it out. Put it into the heat exchanger where we can take it to our heating system. It's very similar to every other air source heat pump. Apart from the inverter. The inverter means that in the summer we're not wasting energy, and that, say, a 6 kilowatt machine can ramp back so we're not wasting energy in the heating system at all.
Now, as Dave's talking, you'll be able to see on the screen, John, our cameraman, is around the back there and just showing some of the features and close-up of the machine as it works. Now, look, some people have told me these are 3 times more effective than boilers. Is that really true?
Yeah, it can be. Obviously, in the winter, they're going to drop to around about 250% efficient. In the summer, they can be more. It depends on the ambient air temperatures. The new MIS 3005, which is an installer Bible, as it were, it says that throughout the year you must have a seasonal performance factor, or COP, of around 300%. And that is the minimum guidelines.
Right, okay. So, look, why isn't everyone fitting them?
They're not fitting them. They've not been very well publicised in the UK. They've been abroad for a very long time. Everyone really has one. It's exactly the same as a fridge freezer. So the technology works. Historically, they've been quite expensive to install. With the RHI coming in now, we're finding this being publicised a lot more, which means people have access to them. At this point in time, really aimed at off-gas circumstances. So if they got an oil boiler, then we could replace that with this. Saying that, as the RHI kicks in, we're getting a like for like with gas boilers now as well.
Now, look, you mentioned installation there, and I know something that's very dear to this man's heart is insulation. What do you recommend is that, appropriate insulation?
As much as you can get in.
As much as you can get out.
I don't think there's any such thing as too much insulation. At least 250 mm in the loft space. Cavity wall insulation if you can, or internal or external insulation, and even floor insulation. The more insulation you can get with one of these systems, the lower the flow temperature can be. The lower the flow temperature means the more efficient the system will run.
You'd agree with him on that?
I certainly would, yeah.
Right, okay, thank you. Now, that's lucky. What about the sighting of these? Are there any regulations concerning the sighting and where you can put them?
There are. We've made it very easy. If you follow the manufacturer's instructions, it's all in there. We've got permitted development rights now for installing them into your home, into your garden. We've got to be careful that the air coming away from here is nice and cool. So imagine if it's winter time, then it's going to be very icy air. We don't want that blowing onto public highways.
Can I say it's all right for you at the moment? I'm standing by the heat. You've got the cool air. Right, okay, but during the winter, you say...
Exactly. It can freeze the ground. So you've got to be very careful where you site them. The key thing is training. You must have a registered installer to install this. If not, it's going to be fitted wrong, basically.
Okay, and what about noise?
It's not very noisy at all. This one gives out around about 56 dBs at a metre away. That's sound power, direct sound power. That's roughly the same as a fridge freezer. Nothing much different to that. Okay. This is actually running now. It'll be running for the rest of the day. So if anybody wants to come up, they'll actually have to put their ear to the machine to hear it.
Can I leave my existing heating system in place?
There's a lot of similarities. The main flow and return pipe's 22 mm for the heating circuit is fine. However, from the heat pump to the buffer tank, we always maintain you should install a buffer tank. We do recommend at least 28 mm, depending on the pipe run, of course, but our design engineers can work that out for you free of charge. After the buffer tank, then, like I say, 22 mm flow and returns with 15 mm towels is ideal.
And what are the heat emission options? What have we got? The emitter options, I should say.
Okay. This will work with any water-based emitter, sorry, not matter. It's getting late in the day, everybody. What we've got here, we're running the Uponor underfloor heating rig, which we're going to talk about later on. It's running 2 conventional radiators and also a smart rad. These are running all the time, and you can feel definite difference of output between one radiator and the other. And that will bring me onto the smart rad, unfortunately. I'm not here to sell, but this is a fantastic machine. This will give out the same amount of power as a conventional radiator, 3 times its size. It will warm a room in less than a minute if it's sized correctly, and it has very, very low running costs, which means we can run it at the same temperature as underfloor heating. So it's a brilliant alternative to underfloor, but it can also work with underfloor, so you can have one flow temperature at the most efficient running temperature for the heat pump.
Brilliant. I'm going
to
switch over to our friend Martin here. Now, Martin, so we've talked about the options available. Specifically here, we're looking at underfloor.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the system we've got here.
Okay, Dave. Good afternoon, everybody. We've got a very small area of underfloor heating here with a manifold located in the corner with some underfloor heating circuits on a traditional new build application. You'll find most of the installations on underfloor heating is where the pipe is buried within the concrete screed floor. Dave mentioned it earlier, and we have a big influence on insulation being critical in the performance of underfloor heating. So it's very important that insulation is within the floor construction. And in this case, we've just fixed the pipework down to the insulation using a staple, and then we've connected those circuits back to the manifold hiding in the corner, and Dave's heat pump is heating the water that's passing through the circuits.
Presumably there are some types of floor that are better than others, I guess.
Yes, if we look at construction then to start with, a screeded floor will always be the best floor construction. However, floor coverings are probably the area that have a massive influence over the performance of underfloor heating. A tile, slate or stone floor will always be your best floor covering. You can have carpet and you can have timber. If we go back to carpets, you must look at TOG ratings, thicknesses of carpets and underlay. So we're looking at 1 TOG maximum rating for underlay, 1.5 TOG maximum for carpet. Timbers must be suitable and acclimatised to the room before they're laid. And they really, ideally, you want to restrict the thickness of the timber. So probably 30 millimetres would be your top-end thickness of timber to work with.
Now, presumably, most of your installations are in new builds, I guess. But what about the retrofit option?
It is, Dave, yeah. Probably 95% of underfloor heating currently is around about a new build application because we bury the pipes as the construction of the property is going in. But there is a very small retrofit market out there. And there are a couple of options with retrofitting. You have to go back to basics and still think about insulation, bringing your property up to the insulation value these days. But it's what we commonly call overlay systems because the existing floors are usually already down on the floor. So we're going to work from those floors upwards. And we're all about minimising that heat, or minimising that height, beg your pardon, and away we go. And there's a couple of real options through Uponor. We have a wooden tract system, an overlay system that sits down over the top of the existing floor covering. It works with a small 12mm PEX pipe. You lay this down, and over the top of this, you put your preferred floor covering. Alternatively, and in good Blue to Peter fashion, here's one I made earlier. Here's an alternative. This is a polystyrene floating floor panel. It has an aluminium heat emission plate sitting on the top of it. And again, this is a low projection build-up height by about 15 millimetres plus your preferred floor covering. But I can't stress enough the importance of insulation in the floor construction if you are retrofitting, Dave.
Now, what about the controls for this system? How simple are those? John, I know you were looking a bit earlier. Perhaps we can get the camera focused back on the controls.
If we look at traditional radiator systems, people in the UK traditionally used to radiators. Maybe on that radiator you have a thermostatic radiator valve to control the comfort level. Well, when we look at underfloor heating, we're looking at what we call zonal control. And all it means is a zone is typically a room that you control the temperature. And so we have thermostats in individual rooms, and those thermostats can be of 3 different disguises, really. You can have radio control, probably my favourite, this one here. You can have low voltage systems or 230 volt. But we're looking for individual room control via thermostats.
Now, I've noticed that the controller you've got in your hand there, and John, I don't know if you can just hold that for John to have a look at there. It very conveniently fits with your wallpaper design.
It does.
But a question on everyone's lips is, does it come in different colours?
Yes, our radio control option, you can get it in a standard white as shown here, but also it comes in a silver and a grey colour alternatively. Just 3 ideal colours for this wallpaper.
Now, look, at Uponor, you've got auto balance technology, which I know is unique to yourself. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know, we're all talking about energy efficiency at this show, and it is a key thing to get energy efficiency. And Uponor offer this auto balance technology, a unique patented technology in the underfloor world. Nobody else offers auto balance. It's all about driving the energy to the rooms that need it on a requirement basis. And it's called auto balance technology, and it sends the water to the rooms on a need basis. It looks at the performance and how the thermostats are reporting back in and what that room is doing to drive the energy where it's required. And you've got energy savings of up to 12% over traditional systems that you'll find every other manufacturer offers. So auto balance is a unique energy saving feature offered through Uponor.
Brilliant. Thank you.